Welcome back to Rooted and Rising. And this season, we are exploring the in between moments, the ones that nobody really prepares you for, and they shape who we become. So, I'm your host, Chioma. Today's guest is someone I've known for a long time. Hi, Henry. Henry and I actually go back a long time, over 12 years. And I wanted him to come on the show today to just have a conversation about a few things, but we'll get into it. But about the transition from marriage into fatherhood, into that kind of strange, beautifully suspended moment where love deepens and the weight of responsibility starts to settle in. That's exactly how Henry described it. So we're going to get into that conversation. But hi, Henry. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Choma. Thanks for having me.
How are you doing? Where are you located right now?
I am currently in Lagos, Nigeria. Very rainy period, but so far so good. I'm all good.
Okay, it's raining for you. It's hot for us. So, you know, I, I know, right? Okay, cool. So tell us about yourself before we get into the conversation. Tell us, a little bit about yourself, what you do, where you're from, things like that.
Okay, I would normally struggle to introduce myself, but I'll try my best. Like Choma mentioned earlier, we've been friends going back 12 years. Met during the NYSC, and since then a lot has changed. We've both grown in our different parts in life. Currently, I work in consulting. I work in consulting for one of the big fours in Nigeria.
And
I have a background in marketing, new father, new husband, everything new, new chapter.
no.
One of the most amazing times of my life. Oh yeah.
Okay. I love to see it. Love to see it. So let's get into the conversation then. So maybe before we talk about the season that you're in, being a husband, being a dad, what was it like for you? I guess give us some background about your family, like growing up. I assume you grew up in Nigeria, but kind of give us some background about how you grew up and all that.
I grew up in a pretty large family, family of 8. My dad had 2 wives. My mom was the second. It brings the whole new dynamics into my concept of family life.
Yeah. Podcast on growing up in a polygamous home. Maybe we'll do that on another one. But continue.
It gives you a whole completely different perspective. I'm the last of 8. Grew up in Abuja. I mean, earlier years of my life was in Paris. My parents were diplomats and my dad was serving in France at the time. So there was that switch moving back from France when his tenure was done back to Nigeria.
You
My
speak
dad was,
French.
I tried my best. I'm a bit rusty right now.
Okay.
So there was this whole switch coming back to Nigeria. My dad, being a typical Igbo man, was like, "What do you mean you're pronouncing affairs as affair? What do you mean by that?" So he did all he could, from hiring lesson teachers for extra lessons and all sorts of things, to make sure that the Frenchman in me died, right? And really made sure. You know, embraced our culture a lot more and all of that. But I'm really grateful for that because I'm proud to be both Igbo and Yoruba. Forgot to mention my mom is also Yoruba as well.
I know you're half us. That's true. Like,
Oh my God. But yeah, I had a pretty interesting time growing up. Both parents being diplomats, I got the opportunity to travel to a number of places, but struggled to maintain relationships because you're settling in and you're being uprooted to somewhere else, right? And at the time, there was no Facebook and all of those social media platforms to connect. But it gave me a whole perspective of our life, and you know, grateful for both environments that I grew up in because kind of like shaped my perspective around a lot of things and a lot of values that I've been able to imbibe over time. And those are kind of the opportunities I try to, amplify with my 4-month-old daughter. I'm really hoping that she gets to experience the world even better than I have. It gives it a whole new meaning.
yeah. So like, I guess backtracking and then maybe going forward, so you and I met maybe like 12 years ago during NYSC. So for those that don't know, I feel like I've talked about NYC before, but NYC is National Youth Service Corps. So it's Nigerians serving the country right after, usually it's right after university, so right after your college education, but people do it, a little later as well. So I had moved back to Nigeria from the US to do NYC, and that's when I met him. Uh, so this was 12 years ago. It feels that's crazy that's so long ago. But from that time to now, obviously before you got married, so maybe talk about what was it like for you, kind of, I don't know, bachelor lifestyle, right? You were in Lagos, you were doing your thing. How has that transition shifted now to where you are becoming a husband, stepping into fatherhood? What was that like?
Full disclosure, it's a bit of a surprise.
Yeah.
Because for the longest, I wasn't so sure I wanted to get married, to be honest. I had certain conditions that almost seemed impossible before I actually consider marriage. I wasn't against it, but I just felt it was something that needed a commitment beyond just, you know, a feeling or the desire to just want to get married, right?
So what did you think that it should also include?
So, I mean, I can't speak for everyone, right? But top of my list has always been about friendship. I'm best friends with my wife, right? And in previous relationships I had been in, um, I know I've had situations where I'll try to explore a friendship first before moving into something more serious. And I had someone tell me once that if they needed a friend, they knew who they would reach out to.
My husband is not my friend.
So it almost seemed like if I wanted to date someone, I needed to, be very clear from the beginning that I want to date you, I want to do that, and all of that, right? But that was very different for me. So for a long time, I thought there was something wrong with my approach. So the few times I attempted to go head on, right, that yeah, let's take this forward. It almost felt like everyone I met had a checklist, right?
Oh,
And
I mean, hold on. Did you
yeah.
not have checklists of what you just said you wanted a friend? That's kind of a checklist, isn't it?
It is, but now their checklist was very, and no disrespect to anyone that has a checklist. I mean,
Mhm.
any of these things, right? But so I felt it was a bit surface, right? In terms of, because then and now being in the marriage kind of confirms how I felt about the surface level and the thoughts that went to the checklist that some people had, right? So for instance, someone I met would say he has a 9 to 5, check. He drives a car, check.
He has his own place.
He
Check.
has his own place, check, and when we start talking, and if within, a couple of weeks, doesn't look like I'm speaking towards us get dating or taking it further and whatnot, it almost looks like, I'm wasting their time. And, there's some kind of hidden pressure that comes into play
Okay.
and, and all of that. But yeah.
So so you're saying with your wife, you didn't feel that same thing because you all were already friends before you decided to explore romance.
With my wife, it became very natural, to be honest,
I
right?
see.
And that what makes it so special for me, right? We both weren't even looking to get married. It wasn't a destination that need to get to. Do you get what I mean?
You all were just the relationship was the top of mind for you.
Yeah, like it blossomed into that. Like there were stages in the relationship, right? And with every depth that came, right, we knew we wanted to be together. At the time, we were friends. We've been friends for 2 years before we eventually decided to, we knew there was always something there, but we never really explored at the time. But that gave us an opportunity to actually really know ourselves. She knows me really well. She knows what I can't do. I know what she can, I can do. And again, when you come to marriage, you start to find out, I mean, some things about the person you're living with, right? I already knew this before getting to marriage because between the both of us, we were literally an open book. Even the really nasty things that we possibly couldn't tell other people
Yeah.
or families are not even aware of. I mean, we've had really quiet moments where we've had those conversations and had it out of the way. So, and that's why I say, I mean, above all the other nice things, making money together, having a beautiful, or handsome husband, all of those are any of those other things. I think for me, from my own experience, the friendship makes it really, 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 really interesting. Makes it feel like home a lot more
Yeah. Yeah,
because
that's true.
you don't feel the need to be a different person
Yeah.
when you're with your wife or your partner, right? Being able to just share those thoughts that if you try to share with someone else, will think you're crazy, right? But you share with someone and they completely understand where you're coming from, and they match your frequency at that point. I think
Yeah.
it's something that everyone should experience at least once in their lifetime.
So romantic. Okay, all right. So let's take it back to the season you described. You said, just kind of the days between becoming a husband towards stepping into fatherhood. Because I feel like you were doing both at the same time, to be honest. So
No,
what
but
did that feel like?
I promise you it wasn't planned.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's like,
Funny enough, so yesterday was my birthday, right? And
yes, happy belated birthday. Yes.
thank you. I mean, a picture popped up on Snap, and my wife sent it to me. All right, this time last year. So we were at the party last year. So around this time last year, we discovered that she was pregnant. So it wasn't planned, but again, we were excited about it, right? At the time, we already had plans for the wedding and everything at the time, but had absolutely no idea she was pregnant. And thankfully, the wedding was close by, so I mean, people didn't quite figure out she was pregnant at the time, but we were really excited. So that's why it looks like I juggled everything all at the same time because not long after the wedding, a few months down the line, she gave birth, and I mean, my life just took a whole new turn from there. I mean, thinking
What's that
about,
like? Though, were you scared? Were you
I was
apprehensive?
actually excited. I actually wasn't scared. I was actually excited, but
You're
also
excited. Okay.
a bit. I was excited about the new phase, but I wasn't. There was a bit of anxiety,
Of course, yeah.
right? There was a bit of anxiety because I was absolutely sure of my wife. I mean, I was absolutely sure I wanted a baby girl. Like right from time we had always been saying this.
And wanting girls like so much. Is it because we have shown girls Pepe? So like
You have
that
shown girls pepper. If you have shown girls pepper, would you want to have a girl?
I don't want girls like same thing. My husband is like, oh, I want a girl first. I'm like, huh, okay. Anyways, it's you people that decide. Thankful.
I remember the day we discovered the gender of the baby, and when the doctor said it was a girl, the way we screamed, I didn't even know how I jumped up, and for all of, so the whole journey was really exciting. Then you have the parents, African parents being African parents, giving you all the advice that, oh, don't tell anybody, oh, stay inside, oh, and all of those things and all of that. But then the weight of responsibility fell on, I mean, the both of us, but most especially on my part. I know the role a man plays in the life of the girl child. I've had friends who have had their life perspective have been thwarted to an extent based on their upbringing and all of that. So it was very important for me to, I don't want to use the word fix up, but for the sake of this conversation, I would say that just kind of like fix up in terms of the kind of world I want to usher my baby into, right? It was, I strongly believe that right before you even get married or even start having kids, it's very important that you have a sense of the kind of environment you want to raise your family in, right? And it's very important that as the man, I mean, there are a lot of conversations around toxic masculinity and all of those things, right? But I strongly believe that as a man, you are very responsible for the environment in your home, right? So if you want to have a happy home, if you want to have a home that where people smile and all of that, you need to be able to plant those seeds, right?
Yeah.
So I try to take deliberate steps just to make sure that, you know, I leave a smile on the face of the missus, for Chimamanda, it was very important for us to, sit and discuss, I mean, with my wife, right? Sit and discuss the kind of like family and the kind of household we want to raise. And from her names, we've been very deliberate about make sure she's very sure of her identity. It was something that one that's really, really important for me is growing up, I struggled with my identity for a very long time. Coming from a
Yeah.
polygamous home, I felt I, I came from some abnormally, right? Like, how does a man have two wives?
Did you have other friends that, because I think growing up, I'm a little older than you, but I think we're still in the same generation. Growing up, I don't remember I may have had one or two friends that had
Yeah.
polygamous homes, but it wasn't a common thing, I don't think, not in the city per se. Or I don't know. I don't know. What was it like for you? I guess growing up.
I mean, it was later on I found out that I wasn't an abnormally.
Yeah, yeah.
If
It wasn't
Now,
abnormal. Yeah.
yeah, when I was so growing up in France at the time, right? I mean, it wasn't something that my friends in school,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, like, what do you mean your dad has?
Sorry. So in France, where both your like
No, they weren't. But
okay.
for instance, now the first one in my family he is 60 right now. Yeah. So how do you explain that person is my half brother? Do you get what I mean? He could give birth to me.
Be your dad, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you explain some of those things? So even when I moved back to Nigeria, I would remember my elder sister. would attend PTA meetings and all of that, people would assume that's my mom. She
Oh,
gave her because I first moved around at the time. But early on, when I was really, really young, I struggled with that thought because I thought it was my family did something really wrong and whatnot. But when I came back to Nigeria, into secondary school, I started to see families that even had three wives, four wives,
yeah, multiple wives.
and all of that. There was a friend of mine then that his nephew was older than him,
Yeah,
right?
makes
So
sense.
all of those dynamics. Well, yeah,
So I guess so you're saying like you went through this like identity crisis growing
yeah,
up in that situation, but then it kind of has shifted, right? And I guess you don't want to create that same environment for your child or, potential.
yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think for me, I had to go through a whole journey, right?
Mhm.
From leaving home to working and all of those things, right? I had to unlearn and learn the whole some new things. See parts of my background that weren't exactly serving me at this point in time, and adopt skills and learn from people that have the kind of life that I would want. So I did struggle with my identity for a very long time. There's still parts of my identity I still struggle with, but I'm doing way better right now. And I think the one important exercise that I have done and I still keep doing, it's kind of like understanding the reason why I feel the way I do, and maybe looking into the possibility of where it may come from, right? So just like I mentioned earlier, the weight of responsibility and how I want to build an environment for my daughter.
Yeah.
Understanding some of those things would help me, not repeat the same mistakes that my parents did, right? Because at the time, I mean, I'm not blaming them for anything because if they knew better, do you get what I mean, right? So now that I know better, I should do better. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So just literally understanding those what they call it, understanding the source of
Like pattern, maybe
the
to.
fact, understanding it, and just making sure that I'm able to do better. But
Mhm.
again, not putting myself under pressure to, because again, there's that
And
whole
there'll be a time where you might stumble, but you have to like recognize
absolutely
that you're stumbling and then correct it ultimately.
exactly.
Mm.
But I think the most important thing for me is that, I mean, especially because she's a girl child, it's very important for me to make sure that she's very confident, right? Confident in her identity. She's bold enough to pursue what she really wants to do, and she's not easily swayed by public opinion, right?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, public opinion is kind of a big deal right now with social media and everything, right? So,
Only I feel like it's only gonna get worse as she gets older.
absolutely.
Like I was telling someone, I feel like maybe our generation was a generation where we had a little bit of we didn't have this much.
Honestly,
Yeah, we
yeah,
had normal TV and we now we're bombarded with all of this. So we still had that like memory of I know what it was like not to have a phone, not to have social media,
yeah,
not to
yeah.
have to go outside and do something. So yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So again, it's interesting that you mentioned that because for me and my wife is we are trying to prepare her for that world. You know what I mean? Well, we know that I mean AI and whatever is going to exist, and only God knows what will exist at that point. But
Yeah.
in all of this, there's that risk of being robbed of your identity and knowing who you really are and all of
Mhm.
this stuff. So for me, it's really important that she really knows who she is and what
Cheers.
she's
Yeah.
capable of doing, and not necessarily seeking validation from strangers or anybody, right? I wouldn't even want her to seek validation from me. Do you get what I mean? You know, I want her to be grounded spiritually, right? There's one thing I've been convinced about, irrespective of how left I go, that there's absolutely nothing I can do that will make God
Mhm.
turn his back to me, right?
Yeah.
So making her understand, connecting her to her maker, teaching her to, rely on him and, seeking to please him at all costs. And also, when you go into that aspect of religion, I grew up in a family where you were told not to do certain things without being told why.
Why? Yeah. I think all of us grew up like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not going to kill the inquisitive side of my daughter, but it's also trying to make her understand, understanding a why in everything that she does, right? So
Mhm.
that she's not just doing this and following the crowd simply because it's what she's meant to be doing, right?
Yeah. I think if she knows something, it's also giving her a reason as opposed to why, oh, why can't I do it? Because I said so. No, there has
Exactly. So I
like,
really wanted to understand some more. understand why she's doing what she's doing, and it's really important. I mean, even if you look at the Bible, it tells you that in all things you can understand it, right? So,
Yeah.
but our parents would always leave that part of the Bible, and well,
How about not important? The father is important. Hear the rod and spoil the child. That's the important.
really, if you follow if you complete that whole chapter, there's a part that says, "Do not provoke your children to anger, but do not carry that one."
Point, not important. Okay, so I did want to just have a quick, maybe just a question about the feeling, the shift that you've made, that you make kind of, you're doing the journey at the same time, husband and then dad really at
Yeah.
the same time, right? How do you think your definition of love has shifted as your roles have shifted? Like you went from single to engaged, married father, like in within, I don't know, like a year, right? And do you feel that your definition of love has shifted at all? And maybe, yeah, talk about that.
So I won't say it has shifted per se, because I think for me, if you remember at the beginning of our conversation, I had said, I mean, I wasn't really crazy about getting married, but I was going
Right.
to be married under specific conditions, right? And my concept of love right from time has always been sacrificial, right? Giving myself to people. So people who are close to me, people who are family, I've always been that person that would always go over and beyond. Sometimes to it has come back to bite me most times, right? So I'm learning to now,
Yeah.
keep that and all of that. But if I tell anything, I would say that concept for me has expanded, right? And is now a lot more focused. So before it was spread across more people who live my life, right? But now I am now prioritizing my family above anything else.
Yeah.
Fuck. Exactly. So all my energy, whatever decisions I'm taking right now is with family in mind. My finances is with family in mind. I mean, previously, I would have, as a bachelor, it's easy to say you can easily go out and, blow a certain amount of money and you come back home and you're good to go. Or if someone is
Yeah.
asking any, you're happy to just do a quick transfer and all of that. But now, I mean, I have a baby right now, so I know the importance of being liquid at every point in time, right? And just making sure my family is okay. And
Yeah.
so I wouldn't say necessarily that my definition of love has really changed. But one thing I would say is my experiences over time have really taught me a lot, both the good and the bad, right? And in those experiences, I have been able to learn, do some soul searching, learn, and know what I really want. So I've had my definition of love right from time, right? And I'm just happy that I was lucky enough to actually, you know, get exactly what I wanted for.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Important. Do you think that your um I guess becoming a father, did it change the way you love your wife? And how so?
absolutely, absolutely. I actually appreciate her a lot more because when I think about the entire process, I mean, I told her this, but she thinks I'm joking, right? So I told her I'm not sure I want to go through this process again, right? Not because I don't want another baby, right?
Process.
The toll it took on her, right? From carrying the baby for 9 months to get into the hospital. I think but she went through CS, right? And I was in the theater when it was happening, and I saw when they caught the baby. I saw my daughter when they were cleaning her up and all of
But
that.
it's good. You should be there so that you can see
Yeah.
all the work that goes in.
So I mean, I had a renewed appreciation for her because it takes a lot of sacrifice for you to want to carry someone else's baby for that long. Like that is the ultimate sacrifice in terms of there's no better way to show how you love someone, right?
Yeah.
The way you decide to carry their baby. And I also had a renewed appreciation for my mom as well, right? So
I bet.
yeah, because I mean, it's a whole when you're bringing life to the world, So it's not exactly the easiest. The pain,
Yeah.
discomfort, all of those things.
Changes in your body, all of those things that
Changes in
happen.
your body,
Yeah.
and the fact that I've actually lost a very close friend during childbirth. I mean, the baby is alive today, but she didn't make it, and we're really close, really, really close.
Yeah.
So
It's a life, like it's actually a life-threatening thing. Like I don't
it's
think
life
people,
threatening actually.
it's
It's
actually a
life threatening.
life-threatening thing to have a child. Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember that. So, and if my wife happens to ever watch this podcast, this outdoor, I was really fighting negative thoughts, right? I was really fighting negative thoughts that period because
Especially because you had a friend that had passed for
yeah,
that.
I was really so that period. I know. I mean, the period leading to a pregnant, her labor. I was really praying that look, she must come out whole. Oh. She must come out whole, nothing broken, nothing missing, and it was very
Yeah.
important to me. But and when she gave birth, everything went well. I mean, when you hear some of the stories that friends would share about their whole experience, I
Mm.
think maybe one thing I've learned this period is even when I mean speaking to other couples who are expecting a baby, I probably won't put some of my experiences on them
Yeah.
because you might think you're doing them some good
Wait.
to
Yeah.
prepare their mind for the worst and whatnot, but you're planting fear in the long
Yeah.
run, right?
'Cause it's already a scary, it's exciting and all that,
Yeah.
but also a fear there, especially when it's your first time.
Exactly. So we had friends coming around saying all sorts of things. Oh, prepare for this, prepare for that, and giving all sorts of things. So I mean, we'll smile and all of that, but we'll go back and start wondering, hope this won't happen to us.
I think marriage is another one that people do when you're getting married. People tend to give you all kinds of interesting advice.
Yeah. My own see, I've gotten so many, right? That's why I say friendship is very important with your partner, right? Once you guys are on the same page, right? You'll know how to filter through all of those conversations. I've gotten somewhere both from family, both from friends, and all of that. But I think the most important thing for me is really understand knowing why I got married and why I chose this person. And no one knows her better than I do. I mean, again, we were making a joke a few weeks back about how before we got married, everyone was on our neck that we should have a baby, have a baby, have a baby. Now we have the baby now. Everybody's only calling to check in. Are you people okay? But nobody's come to take care of the baby at home. I remember saying to her the other time that, to be honest, I know what this whole process took. I know because I mean her career, everything was impacted and whatnot. And
Yeah.
I was very open and honest that I'm happy if we only have my daughter, right?
Mm.
This was me being realistic with her, right?
Yeah.
Because again, coming from my family background, I think there's also the thing of consideration when having kids, right? I would never have as many kids that my heart and my that I can't spread myself around.
Yeah. Really like take care of in
So
not just naturally, but like
not just
emotionally.
financially,
Yeah.
emotionally, being so really understanding the capacity that you have, right? And
How many siblings do you have? Did you say that earlier? You said 10?
okay,
8. Okay.
we are eight altogether. So I have seven Muslim. I'm the eighth, the last one.
Okay.
So for me, I mean, obviously, I mean, my parents' concept of taking care of the family that was provided. I was well taken care of as a kid, right?
Yeah.
But that was their concept at the time, right? But I also understand they need to really handhold your kids at some point before you let them, spread their wings, right? And I think it's really important to really understand your capacity before you decide to start having kids. It's not enough to say, oh, I want to have three, I want to have four,
Yeah.
Do you have the capacity to be there for them, right? When they need you the most, right?
Exactly.
Because yes, you might have the money to hire anyone you want to hire. You might have the money to, fly them on holidays and whatnot, but do you have the capacity to actually spend time?
Yeah.
And I think it's also important that people really, and I'm saying this, these are things, I'm not just giving aspire to perspire. Like these are things that, I mean, we've spoken about and the likes. For me, it's really important that aside the fact that um, you're having a baby, you're having a child. I know people say your world revolves around the kid or your children, right? But again, you still have a life of your own. You need your individuality at some point, right? Because
Yeah.
take for instance, now both my parents have been retired for a long time, and I mean, out of all the children they have 8 kids. I'm the last born. I don't even live at home anymore. They have this big house, and it's just them, right? So it's very important that despite the fact that you have children, you're able to still, you know, keep that spark alive with your wife, right? Partner rather, in a way that, the child doesn't override everything.
Yeah. But over both of you. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I know I've not done a decade in marriage and whatnot, but these are principles I stand by. I'm happy to let my wife go out with her friends and, do what she enjoys the most without me, and I have the baby and whatnot. And
Mm.
when I want to go out, I go out with my boys, have that personal
Well,
time to
have your own lives. Yeah. Yeah.
have your own life. Then we have,
I think. Yeah.
yeah,
I said, and time together without the baby, if possible.
yeah, if
Yeah.
possible. Then, I mean, so have your individual lives. Then you have those moments when we all come together as a family. You get what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So just literally building different things. It could be your career, it could be your hobbies, whatever it is, just have your own thing that you and we have what we need and all of that, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
Thing that, because now you're saying this, I'm now wondering, is there something that you expected to struggle with before you got on this journey that is actually easier than you thought it was going to be? Or the reverse, maybe something that you thought was going to be easy and now you're struggling with it.
Hmm. Honestly, I'm full disclosure, I wasn't sure what to expect, right?
Okay.
It's like I just knew that I just needed to be ready,
Mhm.
right? I needed to be equipped with the right, as much information as I could get, right? I
Yeah.
mean, being a first time dad, relying on older people that have gone through this journey, asking very dumb questions to everyone that cared to listen. I wasn't sure what to expect, but I knew what I would want to achieve, right? I mean, everyone drums in our ears that your sleeping days are over, and all of that. So
They're really over?
they're over. They're over because
Like, that's good to know. Let me sleep on my sleep now.
go
'Cause-
sleep, let no one guilt trip you. That's the one advice that they told me and it came through. So it's over because even the few days my daughter like sleeps deep, right?
Mhm.
I'm still bothered that she's sleeping too deep.
Oh, then you're like,
Okay. I'll go and just, shake her a little bit. Then when she
yeah,
moves out, yes, she's fine. So there's that part of you that always wants to make sure she's okay, she's fine. But also we're trying our best not to spoil her
no,
because,
she's gonna be spoiled. I'm sorry.
but I mean, at the end of it all, we really just pray that we take the right steps and I mean, all of these things that we have in our heads and we're trying to execute
Yeah.
don't create a whole new problem. I think that's the biggest fear I have, right? So I know what I don't want. I know where I want to go to, but I'm also, really, really praying that I don't create a whole new problem from that, right? So that's
Yeah. All you can do is do your best, right? Every day,
absolutely,
your best, and hope
absolutely,
and pray that God continues to guide you. And I think that's all you can do.
absolutely, absolutely.
And if you could go back to Henry of 2014,
Yeah,
yeah, 2014, if you could give that Henry a piece of advice,
yeah.
what would you tell that person about this period of your life?
Be serious with your life. I mean, 2014, that was NYSC tag.
That's why I said 2014.
That was. I don't think my parents made it easy for me, sir. They gave me a car after graduating, and me, I was just everywhere.
And but what are you saying? So you didn't like that they gave you a car, or you?
Yeah, I liked it. I'm not against it. I mean, be-
Yeah, I know that. I was glad you had a car as your friend. I was like, thank God that car helped me.
I'm happy with the car. I was happy with the car. It's just
Yeah.
that I started. You opened my eyes to a whole new world. That you know, I started getting a lot of female attention. You know, I mean, what can I say? Maybe that's why the top. Maybe I'm not going to get married. I just wanted to buffet. Who knows? It made
Oh,
it, it, it made a but the older I got, the more I realized I just wanted a lot more stability. Doing everything you want to do just for one person. The one person that you can literally close your eyes and go to sleep, and you're safe. Very important. These
yeah.
days, some women are stabbing their husbands while they sleep. So.
Vice versa too. Don't play them games. So this is very simple. We're not gonna talk about that. It's a happy podcast. So as we wrap up, I have a question I ask all my guests. If you could
Okay.
pick one song to describe your life right now, what song would it be and why?
So there's this someone I discovered recently. Let me just pull up her. Can't remember her name now. Inga Rose,
Okay.
right? And she has a lot of very authentic music. And there's one of her tracks called "Piece by Piece" that I love, right?
Okay.
You should listen to it. "Piece by Piece," "Celebrate Me" and "Love Me When It's Hard." Very lovely songs. And they speak directly to me because I'm at that point where I really want to live for me, right? Now, I say that from a place of authenticity. Not to say I've been living fake life for a time, but it's just that whole thing of I just feel that everyone has you have a face the face that you show other people, you have a face that you show your close friends, and there's that face that only you is aware of, right?
Yeah.
I really want to, unmask that part of me and be a lot more authentic about that side of me, irrespective of what people would think, what people would say,
Mhm.
and just, be authentically me, no matter what the situation might arise. But yeah.
That's a good one. Okay. Inga Rose, piece by piece. We're gonna
Yep.
plug in the episode. But this is great. I wish we could talk for longer, but we have things to do. But thank you so much for coming on the show and being so open.
Having me.
Yeah, and sharing. Like it was a good time. I feel like we could probably talk. I want to do it, and now I'm thinking about it. I'm gonna do an episode where we just talk about growing up in a polygamous home because I do want to hear about that. If you're willing to share.
I did. I'm happy to share, but I think you should try and bring in other people too and make it,
Oh,
you'll
but
be
maybe
surprised
like
with
a
it.
panel.
Yeah, like a small panel. You'll be very surprised how information will be very similar and how it shapes your journey.
Yeah. Okay. That's an idea. I'm gonna take that into consideration. But thank you for coming on.
No.
Really
Yeah.
enjoyed I do want to say thank you, but I want to say that Henry, you're one of the people that I always feel that I can like reach out to for something. If it's even when I was in Nigeria versus 12 years later, if I need something in Lagos or I need somebody to help me with something, it was like Henry, and you're always so willing, you're always so open, so kind. So obviously your wife, your daughter, they are blessed.
Right.
Your wife and daughter are blessed to have you, and I know that this journey that you're on is it's only going to get better, and you're only going to achieve and just be everything that you want to be. So I'm excited to
Shit,
see. Of
shit you. Thank you.
course,
Thank
of
you.
course. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Do you want people to find you anywhere? If not, it's okay. Look at your face. You're like, no, please don't find me anywhere. Thanks for listening, everyone, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.